You know, we're all told that our money problems are, well, about money. But what if that's not the whole truth? What if the real thing holding you back from financial success isn't what's in your bank account, but what's in your head? Let's dive into that.
Is the question that so many of us ask, right? We work hard, we try to save, but it just feels like we're stuck on a treadmill, not getting anywhere. But here's the thing, the answer probably isn't about working harder or even earning more. The real issue is something way deeper, and it's kind of hiding in plain sight.
This quote from Myron Golden just hits so hard because it's so true. We think, oh, if I just had more money, everything would be solved. But really, more money often just acts like a giant magnifying glass, making our hidden money problems even bigger. You know, if the foundation of a house is cracked, building a bigger house on top of it is just asking for a faster collapse.
Okay, so if more money isn't the solution, then what on earth is the real problem? We're about to get to the very foundation of pretty much all financial struggles, and it all starts with something called your money story. This right here, this is the root of it all. Your money story is basically the subconscious script that's running your entire financial life. And look, this isn't about judgment, it's more like a diagnosis. A broken financial life is almost always just a symptom of a broken money story.
So, what does a broken money story actually look like in the real world? Well, a lot of the time, it shows up as this self-imposed ceiling on what we believe is even possible for ourselves.
This personal story just makes it so incredibly clear. So, back in 1987, Myron Golden thought that making $300 a week was great. That was his big goal. And why that specific number? Because his rent was $250 a month. See? His money story created this invisible ceiling that limited his goal to just surviving, not thriving. The problem wasn't his paycheck, it was his entire perspective.
And where does this stuff even come from? Well, we're programmed with it from a super young age. I mean, think about our superhero movies. The heroes, people like Spider-Man and Superman, they're almost always poor or orphans. And the villains? They're the multi-millionaires and billionaires, like Lex Luthor and the Green Goblin. Subconsciously, we're being taught to connect wealth with being evil. And it's in our everyday language too. It just reinforces all these negative connections in our brains. We call wealthy people filthy rich. We tell our kids to wash their hands after they touch money. We absorb these beliefs that money will ruin us. So with all that negative programming, is it really any surprise that we subconsciously try to push money away? Okay, so we've figured out the problem. It's a broken money story. But here's the really good news. You can absolutely fix it. You can literally rewrite your entire narrative. Let's walk through the 3 keys to making that happen.
The whole path to fixing your story really comes down to these 3 things. It's about changing the meaning of money, rethinking how you make it, and then relearning how you manage it. So let's take them one by one.
All right, first up, instead of seeing money as something evil or filthy, what if you started seeing it as a tool for good? You know, a tool to support the causes you really care about, to make life better for your family, and to set your kids up for an amazing future. When money becomes a force for good in your mind, you'll stop subconsciously pushing it away.
Next, we've got to fix our story around making money. Most of us are taught to trade our time for dollars. But here's the catch. You only have so much time in a day. Real wealth is built when you disconnect your income from your time. That's what leveraged income is all about, doing the work one time and getting paid for it again and again and again.
And if you want to see what that actually looks like in the real world, check this out. Myron Golden wrote a book 5 years ago. He did that work once. Just last year, that one book generated $180,000 in income. It's a stream of money that flows in whether he's actively working or not. Now that is the goal.
And finally, you have to manage the money you make. Now, this doesn't mean you have to have some painful, super strict budget. It's really simple. It just means you respect money enough to make sure your expenses don't get bigger than your income. It's all about making sure the upkeep doesn't become your downfall.
So, how do we pull all these ideas together into a practical blueprint we can actually use? Well, that's exactly where the 4S money framework comes in.
This framework is your blueprint. It all starts with your story. You got to rewrite those core beliefs. From there, you develop your style, which is basically your financial habits. Then you build a strategy focused on creating that leveraged income we talked about. And finally, you create a system to make the whole thing repeatable.
Let's just zoom in on style for a second. The ideal way to approach this is to be a conservative creator. That's someone who sees money as a tool for production, not just for spending. And also a generous giver. The one you really want to avoid is being a super spender who just consumes everything without a real purpose.
Okay, we've covered the problem, the solution, and the framework. So the final question is pretty simple. What does this path to success actually look like for you, personally?
If you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Your financial behavior is a direct result of your beliefs. You can't force new habits on top of an old, broken mindset. You have to change the story first, and I promise you, the financial transformation will follow.
And so, I'm just going to leave you with this one last thought. Myron Golden says that out of all the people close to him, he can count on one hand the number who've ever actually asked him how to get rich. Their money story won't even let them ask the question. So let me ask you, will yours?